Hello, welcome back to the Evergreen RX. I'm your host, Hayden, licensed mental health therapist, Cancer Moon, and the first to get deep at any party. And today's Minidose is a good one. We are getting in and out 101 nitty gritty. That is probably not the most operative word. We're answering the question, what small changes have the biggest impact on well-being? I came up with a list of 10 things for you guys to run through really quick as a refresher for anybody that's been on this wellness journey for a while, or as like Foundations 101. Like imagine it's your first course you take in your major of wellness. So we're just like putting the foundation and the groundwork into words. The small changes, the things you can start today, the things that you can continue to practice to see some real amazing tangible results. I think sometimes in the wellness space, things can get really heady or really in depth or niche, and that's great. Like no hate, but sometimes the simplest things are also the most powerful. And so I love this question, and I want to just roll through my list so you can start making those changes, or a beautiful little reminder, because I need this reminder too. So the first four that I'm going to list out, I think if you did nothing else but these first four, you'd radically change your life. Like really, they're so basic and simple, but just so impactful. So number one, breathing exercises, guys, or literally just paying attention to your breath in general. Belly breathing, which means breathing through your nose into your belly, imagining like it's going into your belly, and breathing out through your nose or your mouth. That practice alone changed my life. It helps us become more in tune with our bodies. The breath is just such an important tool that we have. It's really cool. It's one of the only things that we have conscious control over, and also it unconsciously works for us. The breath will keep going whether or not you ever recognize it a day in your life, but we also have the ability to tune into it and use it to our advantage, which is so cool, and I think represents how powerful it is for us. So that's number one. Breathing, paying attention to your breath, using it as a tool for relaxation, for anxiety relief, for being in tune with yourself, literally anything. Then there's hydration. Sorry guys, I'm going to talk about it. Drinking water. I struggled with this for a really long time until I got a water bottle that has a straw top, because something about like opening water bottles or picking up a cup and like lifting it to my face, I think I like miss a lot. I dribble all over myself. I don't know why, but I'm like a toddler. And so when I got a cup with straw, now I just lift it or literally lean my head over and can drink the water. So it's minimal amount of effort from the glass to my mouth and into my body. So making hydration as accessible as possible. That is a good wellness tip. Sleep. I know this is a complicated topic and I'm just going to barely scratch the surface on it, but really getting your sleep in order is huge. I debated putting this number one maybe, because I think like 80% of the other stuff that we deal with would be resolved, if not better. Definitely better, improved by us getting adequate amount of sleep. We do so much. The sleep is the time that our body just gets to repair and rest and replenish us and process things. So much happens when we're sleeping. So that is something to really prioritize and be conscious of the impact. So then there's movement, a movement practice, just anything that picks your heart rate up. This does not have to be going to the gym or doing like a workout or whatever, but really just once a day doing something that gets your heart rate a little bit elevated, get your blood circulating, get your muscles pumping. It's so helpful for our mental health and also just feeling good in your body and making all of those circulatory processes and digestion and things flowing. So those are the four. Those are the four that I think can radically change your life. If you want to stop listening here, fine. But I don't suggest it. I mean, I think I've got other good stuff for you, but for anybody that is listening that probably knows all this stuff is good, this is just your reminder of how vital sleep, water, movement, and breath are for our mental health, for our bodies, for really doing us some favors as a daily practice, really keeping those things in mind. So then the next four are some extras. We can really start incorporating these things one at a time for more added benefit. One is diversifying your plate. To take nutrition down to the simplest form or idea is just try to eat diverse foods, different colors, different textures, mix up your ingredients, really getting the rainbow of foods on your plate as much as possible. So even if this just means for you incorporating one green thing, great. I think that's as simple as I can put it, is just trying to think about diversity when it comes to what you're eating. Then there's diversifying your free time. So I know we all love to watch Netflix and YouTube and chill out on our phones, and that can feel like it's super recharging, and that's okay. We're not villainizing it. There's a time and place. But if you can, thinking of ways to diversify your free time. Bring in something that has some novelty. Maybe you want to go to a pottery class, or you've never gone to a certain coffee shop in your city. You could even switch up the way that you drive to work and what you listen to when you drive. Things that just switch it up a little bit and bring in some of that newness into your life. It helps us wire new neural pathways. It gets our creative juices flowing when we do things a little bit differently. And I also just think life is meant to be spent in diverse ways. There's so much out there for us. And I think a lot about life is balance. And so routines are really helpful and are actually another one of my tips on here. But we want to balance that with also experiencing newness and bringing in things that challenge us or help us expand in different ways. So it's a balance of both. So that does bring me to my next tip, which is routines. I have a whole episode on this, episode 1 of this podcast. It was the first I ever did because I think routines are so vital, and building morning and night routines were basically my entryway into wellness and into this whole journey that I've been on since. I think they're a super foundational building block. So really building in some routines that help take some of the choice and the decision fatigue out of your day, that help you know kind of when and where things are going to get done. And in addition to this general idea of building routines, building one thing in a day that brings you pleasure, some small act of pleasure and enjoyment, something just for you. Mine is that with my breakfast, I like to read a book. And this does not have to be my therapy book unless I really want it to be. This doesn't have to be, something that I'm doing to learn or to challenge myself. This can be my enjoyable, my fun, little fairy fantasy book, or whatever it is that I'm just really get a lot of pleasure out of reading. I get to do that with my breakfast, and it is so nice. It is sometimes the highlight of my day. And so incorporating something like that just really brings you pleasure into your routine can have really positive benefits. To know and to remind yourself, you're here to enjoy life too. So prioritizing that, finding a way to work that into your everyday is really impactful. So then we've got spending time outside. This is another one that's okay, yeah, girl, we've heard this a million times, but so many benefits. Sunlight on our skin, grass under our feet, it's grounding, and also looking at things that are off in the distance, which we can only really get when we're outside, is so good for our eye health. We spend a lot of time looking at screens and looking at things like this far away from our face. So looking at the horizon, getting that sunlight in your eyeballs, that natural light that helps our circadian rhythm for sleep, all of that is benefited by going outside and reminding ourselves too that nature is beautiful, it's surrounding us, we are a part of nature, and that can be helpful or easier to remember when we actually spend time outside. Lastly, the most simple yet radically transformative tip that I have for you: self-compassion. If you guys have been around the Evergreen RX block and listened to some episodes, this is not new. I bring this up a lot, but that's because it is so transformative to every part of our life. And if you want to learn more about self-compassion specifically, I'll direct you to Kristen Neff. She's got amazing books. She's the mama of self-compassion, but really practicing kindness with ourselves, being gentle, recognizing maybe the places that we fell short or we made a mistake, being with the reality of that and whatever we need to do to set things right or to make amends, but to know that that doesn't undermine or take away our inherent worth, our lovability, and the respect that we deserve from ourselves and from the world around us. We deserve to treat ourselves with dignity no matter what. And this practice of self-compassion, as paradoxical as it may seem, doesn't actually lead us to doing less, being, just so laissez-faire with ourselves. Really, over time, the practice of self-compassion helps with increasing our motivation for treating ourselves well and for doing things that are helpful and healthy. And to illustrate this point, I think this author and therapist, Catherine Morgan Schaffler, who I really like, illustrated super well on a podcast that she was on. And she said that she was talking about when she was working in a recovery center, the people that were most able to recover were the ones that met themselves with compassion no matter what, not the ones that came up with more creative forms of punishment. I think that serves as a really beautiful illustration of how compassion is a tool that we can bring with us through everything. The moments where we have succeeded and we feel wonderful, and the moments where we feel like we totally dropped the ball and made a mistake or did something wrong, hurt someone. To meet ourselves with compassion no matter what is probably the most powerful tool that I can give you. So that one, it's small and simple, but it's also not so small, and it's huge, and it's a transformative way of relating to ourselves and meeting ourselves through life's challenges. But I don't think that I can talk about small changes or foundational changes to our life that can help with our well-being and feeling more contented and more fulfilled and joyful. I just can't leave out self-compassion. So there's my list of small changes. For the really eagle-eared of you out there, you might have heard that I said I had 10, and no, I actually had 9. So I didn't even need to add a 10th. I felt like that covered the gamut. There's small change that really impacted your life, or any of the ones that I listed that you feel like you saw wonderful positive effects from. I would love to hear it. I would love if you followed along, shared this with your friends who you think would really get down with it, and just know how much I appreciate every single one of you that are listening, all of the support that you've shown me, anything that you do to support this podcast and get it out there. It means so much to me. So thank you, and hit follow because we've got so much more good stuff coming, and I can't wait to catch you guys in the next one. Bye.